Yeah,
Awesome.
I personally join quite a lot of different online or offline meetups. People are very passionate building AI agents using one of the open source or commercial online voice engine and put some LM in, put some functioning tool called MCP or vector database. So, but it's very rare people talking about a test eval so seriously, and they didn't realize how important it is. Because you can always work on the happy path, but for us as FDE, actually, I guess only 10%, 20% work on those happy paths. More time on those. It's not really patching, but it's really to refine the system to better fit the use case. And the test eval is so important. And even there's always room to improve. There's a lot of pure text-based automation, and we also have some telephone integration. We have some voice-based tests. Hello, everyone. This is Jove. Welcome to the new episode of For the Caffeine. As I said, I'm in the process to interview many FDE, no matter outside Cresta or inside Cresta. And the last time we talked to Anthony, yeah, by the way, we start from A to Z. So this time I'm inviting the other FDE in my team with the A in the initial and Arad. And Arad, maybe you can do a quick self-intro.
Hi everyone, I'm Arad. I've been working with Jove for a couple of months now. Launched my first agent already. And then so before joining here, I have worked at small startups. I tried my own startup, both for AI agent projects, and also have a background in mostly back-end focused software engineering.
Okay, cool. Yeah, welcome to the show. And what kind of a drink or tea or coffee you bring in the show today?
I was very basic, so I just got myself green lemon tea. Cheers.
Okay, cheers. Cheers. Cool. Maybe we can start some easy topic first or some fun fact. I guess everyone's very busy in FD. We travel a lot. I mean, right after you join the team, I saw some notification from our travel agency that is, hey, please approve or decline this travel from person XXX. I have no idea that is you, but is that true that is like your first name have this like special characters? Tell us more about this.
It's always like a nice icebreaker. I have like a religious name. So my full name is Arad Kunwar. I grew up in Nepal and then we migrated to Canada. What happened is my passport didn't have first name and last name. It just had full name. And then the Canadian immigration officers put all of that as like family name. And then I officially did not have a first name in Canada. But when I got my Canadian citizenship, they needed to put something in the first name. So the person who was setting up my passport was like, okay, I'm just gonna put triple X because you need 3 characters. And ever since then, I've been Mr. Triple X every time I travel, especially Air Canada, like my loyalty plan. Yeah.
Wow, what a story. I even didn't realize that is the minimal length of the first name has to be 3, right? So what are people who say AI or AN, that have to add the X? So that's more like a bias, I would say.
Yeah. I think the more common one in the US is actually FNU, first name unknown. It's just like the person who was processing my passport application, I guess, I wanted to make it more interesting for me. And it has been interesting. I've actually been denied booking twice already because of this. Because turns out like some airlines use XXX as crew name. So you're not
Okay.
supposed to charge them. And then so I had to call them, show them my passport, and then finally got my tickets booked. So
So did you also get to those VIP lounge? Those stuff
unfortunately,
only.
no, I've had to pay for all my tickets and never gotten to a VIP lounge for free.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I also met someone in my past that is they also have a single name, but it's not really a first name or not the last name. So sometimes they just repeat that same name. But the world is so large. There are different cultural things. As I said, this is a great ice-breaking topic. Okay, cool. Now we almost finished the ice-breaking, I hope. You've been here for a while, and also you mentioned you being a founding engineer or working on your own company and also building a lot of AI agents in other companies. So maybe let me ask this way. What is your kind of surprise, no matter in the good way or bad way, that is anything in Cresta or the way we do it surprise you?
Yeah, that's a good one because as a part of Cresta's onboarding, you get to read the architecture behind like how like AI agents are made in Cresta, and I was like so surprised with the amount of thought that was given behind it, right? Like from like tracing perspective, guardrails, security, and the infrastructure itself. Because for the past 2 places, as my own startup and at a small venture studio, when I built AI agents, I had to like basically do everything from scratch, and it basically slows you down, right? Whereas like here, the infrastructure is so good that you basically have repos ready, you have commands ready, you can just spin up an agent just like that. And that's why I think like we're super good at spinning out demos when we go on site. Like that was like when I went to my first on site, like we want to show demos to our clients. It's like one of the things we really want to do. And on my first on site, I was like, how are we going to do this? Like we only have 2 days. And it turns out it's like because of the Cresta like AI agent builder, it's such a smooth process that we were able to build a really like impressive demo. They even joked, they were like, hey, if you were able to build this in the 2 days, like you should be able to do a lot in a week, right? Why the timeline you just told us? And we had to explain that it's actually not building, but evaluations, which is another very well executed part of Cresta's like AI agent platform that is very important. Like we don't just build agents, we have like an entire plan for how to evaluate them and then work with our clients to help them do that on their end also. So yeah, that stood out really, really much, like how well the infrastructure is to spin out agents, and more importantly, how well thought the evaluation framework behind it is also.
Yeah, great to know that. Yeah, before joining Crest, I also work on some infra stuff myself, but it's more about the data infra, database infra, or streaming infra, right? But yeah, Cresta, certainly there's a lot of people coming from Google, from Meta, and everyone treats the infra very seriously, right? We don't want to slow down the FDE, and also regarding the security, performance, multi-cloud. For example, what if OpenAI is down or Amazon is down? Some of the data center is hit last week, unfortunately, but it may happen, right? So there's a multi-AZ, multi-region, multi-cloud is not just for fun. There's some serious kind of a reason behind it. Yeah, and the infra is really great. I also hear a lot from other AI company that is, in the end, the iteration speed really depends on how great the infra is, right? So there's always some issues, there's always some bug, but you need a super strong engineer to work out scalable infra. Also, it can iterate fast. And yeah, as you said, it's very common during a 2-day or 3-day on-site with customer. We try to, in the last 2 hours, we try to show off, hey, this is what we discussed this week, not just about this call flow, this chart, but actually this is a working number. Also, even we can invite those CXO to try to call that number and freedomly to ask whatever question to see roughly whether this align with their thought thinking. Again, building something is not too hard to say, as you mentioned that is, but we spend more times on the test and eval, and that's also a big topic. I guess we can cover this today. Yeah, before we go over deeper, but I also want to be fair, that is anything you surprises you but a little bit frustrated, don't be shy. I guess there's always room we can improve.
Yeah, so one thing that I thought would be very simple, but turned out to be quite complicated, is because I remember the obvious thing to evaluate LLMs, other than like very predictive way, is to introduce other LLMs. So like simulated visitors is what we like to call it here. But setting them up has been the real challenge, because again, unless the instructions are very precise, they can still behave very unpredictably. And so sometimes you look at a test and it did respond the way we planned for it to do, but the evaluator itself, because it's like it doesn't understand the nuances, it only understands specific things, would sometimes be like, no, I like the conditions that were set for the test were not satisfied. And I think to work around that, we really use constants in slots. So we know, like we use this a lot, like we use slots throughout the conversation to track the flow, metrics and whatnot. And so because what LLMs say could be unpredictable because we want it to be conversational, what we can look at is constant values that we know for sure will be used to create those responses. Just from going from like, LLM evaluators to like very predictable slot-based evaluators has been like a transition in like our like test suites, to put it. So yeah, that was interesting for me.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I guess we can just double down this test eval topic, because for people who are not really working on AI agent or enterprise AI agent, they may not appreciate or understanding how critical and how challenging this can be. And Arad, you work on many AI agents before and joining Cresta. Kind of somehow give a 101 about what is test eval and why this is important, or why this is hard for us. Yeah, even we more like expert on agents already.
We build agents to behave a certain way, but they're built on top of LLMs that are predictable, right? And then so to introduce predictability, we use tools. If you think an LLM should behave a certain way in a very structured like logic tree, maybe it's good to track that out as a tool, because a code is always going to behave specifically. Another thing we really do well at Cresta is we actually do 2 design reviews for all agents we build. So once we've done that, like it's time to compare what was like proposed by the forward deployed product manager, and so that we call binary requirements, and how the agent performed. For instance, most of these agents are conversational, and there's like different part of the conversation where you could point out like it went fault, right? If I were to explain how I did it before, I would have to essentially redo the conversation every time to get to that point. And I can give an example what happened 2 days ago. Like we had a requirement changed by the customer, so we changed the test because it was passing before. And then all I had to do was like change the LLM, like make change on the agent, and then just run that test. I didn't have to make a billion conversations and manually do this. Like you mentioned before, like the velocity of me being able to like address customers' change request and then build something and verify it and then put it out was so fast, as opposed to like how I've done it at my previous 2 roles, which is like essentially, yes, the tools can be unit tested, but the LLM had to be manually tested, and it was a very slow and painful process. So that was really slowing me down, as opposed to here, which is like you build this really good framework in order to strongly and confidently validate these LLMs.
Yeah. So again, we always combine prompt and the function tool call along with other guardrail, all those things together. So if we just write unit test or integration test for the Python code, it's not enough. But even the Python code can generate some dynamic prompts, right, to replace certain part or append certain things. So you have to test together. We also try to avoid those static conversation tests. Hey, you always say this line first, you expect agent to say this one, and you will say the other one. So this can work, but it is very fragile, right? Anytime you change your conversation tone and add your new knowledge base, so this can be easily broken. So we have to leverage LLM to test them. But that's also a challenge. That is, you cannot really like share all the possible way. That is, there's always certain possibility for the simulated visitor to say whatever they want to say, as long as they are following their goal, their tone. Also, we want to run this in not just once, not twice, 10 times, 100 times, because LLM essentially it's not really a deterministic, it's a probability problem. Figure out all those edge cases. Also, you mentioned something like binary requirement for people who are not really in our team or in this domain so deeply. Can you share about why we sometimes need those binary either yes or no criteria, and in other cases we might need say from 1 to 5 score, and you need okay to have a certain score in the middle?
Yeah. So like binary requirements are like very like that's how a project begins once like we've designed call flow. And it is like essentially, I would say, the most granular level to measure every step of the LLM. Because you can just be like, it got to this branch, did it do this? Because we expect it to do it. And then we're able to measure that on all the past conversations, and then basically identify like where it went wrong. And I think like because it's like so straightforward and to the point, we find it like very useful in order to measure LLMs, like evaluate them essentially.
Okay, but besides those binary requirements, I guess we also have other not so strict, but I'm not sure whether they show the empathy or how repetitive the language is. Those may not be either yes or no. I mean, I might be able to see for the LLM to give a score or grade for those questions.
Yeah, and then this comes down to like most of our customers want the LLM to behave in a very predictable way, but also they want it to be conversational, right? And then so that's when like for instance, you can make an empathetic LLM to be almost patronizing, like if it's too empathetic. And then so that's when we measure not just once, but like how empathetic should it be throughout the conversation given the call flow. Like, because if it's empathetic in every turn, then the person on the phone is like at this point empathy means nothing. It's just seems like how the LLM talks. But if it's able to identify when, like, given the user's query, that it's like it's a good time to show empathy, and then show it maybe like 2 to 3 times throughout the whole conversation that might take like 5 to 10 minutes, then like it's the same as like, because we're trying to replicate real conversations, and then so like the show of those empathy moments, because like you can tell the visitor, hey, like try to, in like 5 times in the conversation, give the LLM a chance to show empathy, but make sure it doesn't show it every time, right? And then, so instead of just saying yes or no, it could say it twice, it could say it 4 times, but we don't expect it to like say an empathetic statement in return every time, because one of the agents I'm dealing with has like very sensitive case in which the caller is a little worried, and it was important for the agent to show empathy. But if you were just to tell the LLM be empathetic, it would just go free for all. Because like especially the newer ones are very straightforward. It will just be like, hey, the instructions are for me to be empathetic, so I'm just gonna try to be it in every response I can do. But then this thing was like, it's finding the sweet balance, right? The sweet spot. And then that's when like the non-binary aspect of like, was it empathetic when it was necessary, but was it not overly empathetic at the same time? Like that measurement matters. And actually it was like a case like I had to like tweak quite a bit to get right. So yeah, I think that was a good example.
Yeah, cool. Again, many of us coming from traditional software engineering background, that is those unit tests, integration tests, stress tests is important, but this also applies to AI agent. So we cannot, after you finish building an AI agent, you just type a lot on your chat box to see how things work as expected. You should not always make a phone call, right? If you're familiar with the TDD, test-driven development, that's almost same for the AI agent. That is, we build a lot of testing criteria and either using static or LLM-based tests. Even sometimes we build our own model to better simulate a certain type of the customer. So all those tests can be run at very large scale, right? 100 times, 1,000 times, you name it. And every time we make some changes on the prompt, on the tool call, even which we change the model itself, right? Say recently the ChatGPT 5.4 is out, whether it's much better than 5.1, 5.2, and what's the difference? And maybe it's better in this kind of conversation, but maybe get worse for the other ones. So you cannot just rely on your instinct to switch to the other one, taking a big risk. You have to have a kind of a data-driven decision-making process. So all those test eval report is very important for us to make the right decisions. And sometimes we have to balance. Even sometimes such a model runs faster for this type of conversation. Some new model even can be slower on this type of conversation. So there's always a balance. And test eval is, we cannot overemphasize how important it is.
Yeah, and then to add on it, like, because we did switch to 5x for OpenAI, and then I remember we had quite a few like evaluation criterias. We had multiple, discussions over it, and we had like 2 engineers lead this entire thing. And so we built this like very safe way of migrating from GPT-4x to 5x, given like, because our evaluation like framework is like so good, if you want to make like a decision tree, do it this way and it works more effectively. And then so things that worked at GPT-4x in a certain way might not work in GPT-5x because we tried, and then we realized this is the way to do it better. So again, that was another great utilization for our eval framework, because what we did was we rebuilt the same agent with a new version of LLM, and then we thought it would just work, and it didn't. It was so easy to measure it, and then we were able to share data with the rest of the forward deployed team. If it were to be done manually, it would just take so much time. But we can choose how many runs we want to do per test run. And once a test is built and we're confident about it, we can just run it whenever we want. As opposed to if we were to do this manually, it would just not be scalable. And we want to grow fast. So like this is very important part of like the AI agent building process.
Yeah, I personally join quite a lot of different online or offline meetups. People are very passionate building AI agents using one of the open source or commercial online voice engine and put some LLM in, put some function tool called MCP or vector database. So, but it's very rare people talking about a test eval so seriously, and they didn't realize how important it is because you can always work on the happy path. But for us as FDE, actually, I guess only 10%, 20% work on those happy paths, more time on those. It's not really patching, but it's really to refine the system to better fit the use case, and the test eval is so important. And even there's always room to improve. There's a lot of pure text-based automation, and we also have some telephone integration. We have some voice-based tests. So imagine you want to making sure the response generated by LLM can be correctly converted into some audio using some online or our own to more like this is text-to-speech. But there can be something wrong with the text-to-speech or the way you design your prompt, your output, whether it's voice-friendly and whether they say some number in the right way. And for example, the phone number in Vancouver, I'm based in Vancouver, and Arad, you are in Toronto. For example, in Vancouver, people always say, hey, this is 604 XYZ 2900, right? So this is not consistent. As a human, sometimes we use O in the middle, sometimes we use 0, but those things can be easily confused by the LLM. Again, we need to making sure even the audio part is correct. And this need to be verified in a systematic way, not having to be human making phone call. That would be too much. So this is so important topic. But the other thing I want to mention that we talk about as an AI engineer, those are prompt, those are tool call, those test eval. But also want to mention that this AI agent FDE life. And for you, I forgot, sorry, what is your first time going on site? Any fun story or anything surprise, any lesson that you want to share with us?
I would say like one of the most surprising things about being FDE is like how late your notice you're gonna have to travel is gonna, and it's like, cause like most places, like company travel policies are very strict. Like you have to book flights at a certain time and then do this, do that. But because we have so many projects coming in, you realize that very late. So in my case, it was I think within a week I was like, oh, I guess I'm going to Houston. And so luckily, like the 2 PMs that I travel with were like it was not their first on-site, so like I learned a lot from them in terms of like how to choose proximity to the hotel. And then more importantly, you all want to be close because you're gonna do on-site with the client all day, but you're also gonna meet after, right? Like this is about like maximizing the opportunity to be with the client. And then so yeah, my biggest shocker definitely was like finding out, oh, this is gonna be an on-site in like 7 days. Never this soon. And what I've realized is this is the standard at like the FDE team. It's not, I was not the rare one. So yeah.
Yeah, in some cases, it's very difficult to avoid, but want to making sure people have the work-life balance, if they already have some commitment to the family, some important stuff. But again, I guess part of the reason why we have some of the urgent on-site is really to making sure we can maximize this opportunity to win the trust and clarify certain things, right? We can always have Zoom, Team, different Slack, or those different channels, but meeting someone in person, talk to them, having coffee, having beer together, it's very hard to compete. So you get so many informations, and also you build the trust. You build with the trust with their API lead, with their QA lead, also with their business owner, and you know more about why they have a strong sense of urgency to have this AI agent, and what kind of thing they tried before, sometimes even what kind of vendor they tried before, right? And what's their lesson learned. People may not be so open to share everything on the Zoom meetings, especially if it's recorded. So having some in-person meet, and also just work with our other colleagues, FDPM. Everyone worked very hard and remotely in Cresta, and I guess for me, most of the time I met my FDPM in one of the customer's office, not in our own office.
Yeah, for sure. Because and I personally also noticed the difference between like my first project, I didn't have the opportunity to be on site, whereas I did for the second project, right? And then so your cadence changes because like you've met this person in person. At the same time, like all the people that I now meet at a recurring rate, I know where they work, how they work, right? And I've met them in person. And more importantly, aside from, because like most of the times when you work remote, you don't have water cooler opportunities. And I think like having that so early, like, because otherwise if you didn't have that opportunity, you would have that built up over time. Whereas if you're in person and you had like, we usually have like a bunch of things scheduled for on-site, you have those in-betweeners, right? And then those moments are like super great. And to connect with like the counterpart from the client side, and then build this like relationship that you're gonna really have advantage over on the long term throughout the project.
Yeah, and sometimes I even get into their office building, experience their own culture. Every company is slightly different, more or less. Even using their kitchen, right? See, there are some companies even have their own gym, their own even call center inside the building, and you will see how those live agent or human agents talk to their clients. Are they relaxing? Are they very serious? You can see some dashboards. It's give you more like impression as a human being. You know what's the more like culture looks like for the company. What's the tone they share with their customer? Is that very straightforward or very friendly, very chill or very corporate? You can sense those things. Again, we are human. We're not AI. We're not just coding machines, right? So we needed to making sure based on those first-hand informations to better build something specialized for that kind of domain and the customer. And this is very helpful. And to be honest, we are not the only vendor in the market building the enterprise AI. And the competition is hard. And I guess this is how Cresta doing things. That is, we really spend a lot of time with customers and partner with them to build the right solution. And as I also mentioned, that it's not really to replace human agents, right? So in many cases, the customer they want to grow. They cannot just hire enough people. Or there's a lot of effort in the holiday season, and they also needed to train people constantly for their new services. And AI agents can really help a lot for people to focusing on something a person can help better, right, regarding providing more cares. But for some easy stuff like I lost my credit card, or where's my order, this is can be easily done, either using web or using voice. And some people even, especially for those different age range, some people are not so comfortable to using a mobile app or web page. They might just want to make a phone call. And this interface, this technology actually enable a lot of people who don't really good at technology. They can still make a phone call. Everyone can do it, and they are very happy with that.
Yeah, 100% agree. Like apps have taken over a lot, but it's for a certain age group, I would say. And then also depends on like what part of the world we're talking about, because there's still a lot of businesses being done over the phone or over text, right? And essentially, a lot of times, your ability to grow your business is limited by how many people can respond to those calls or how many people can respond to those texts, right? And which is why like multiple AI agent projects from Cresta has done some kind of like early sales, right? Because that one, like when it's coming to the funnel, like that one needs to be the highest volume, but it also seems to be like very predictable and straightforward, just human resource intensive. And then so like, and that's how a lot of our customers, like when they start there, because they're like, okay, this can be done, looks pretty easy, but we're limited by how many people we have, right? And then so they truly believe in that. And the second thing is like our agents, like one of the benefits I noticed from the client side after my first launch was like it's also a shield for their human agents, because like so there's been cases where like, you know, people just call in, they're bored, they're like abusive, or they're ghost callers, which means they just call in and it's costing them money. And it's also, they could be using that time to serve someone else, right? Like you wonder why Air Canada made me wait 1 hour, 15 minutes to say something I read online. It's because like they don't use this service, you know, like we'd want more and more enterprises to use this simply because a lot of the things they're serving through humans doesn't need like the human aspect of it. It's pretty straightforward. That's why where we go with our clients, they see the advantage of like not just what was planned, but also what happens post-launch. And so yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, again, if the last year is a big kickoff for AI agents, yeah, this year everyone will be very busy, and maybe it will be some cases, some customer last year they have a lot of sci-fi kind of thinking. There's a more like dream, but this year they will be more realistic, but also they will be more aggressively to see which use case will be ready to be turned to an AI agent, and how they shift their resource to work on more important stuff. And also, as a guest, the bar will be raised. That is, you don't want to wasting half hour, 1 hour just listen to the music before talking to the first human agent. And every human agent only can do certain things if you wanted to. By the way, I want to do something else. You have to wait the other half hour. That's too much. Yeah, so it's hard to imagine that is 2 years from now or 3 years from now, you're still doing in the same way. So it's had to be changed. And the technology is it's much better, and a company like Cresta, we work on this Infra, work on this quality measurement, work on this unified human AI platform for quite a while, and we get a lot of best practice. Again, for some customers, they might be tech savvy enough to build this agent by themselves. But again, building is just the beginning point. It's not the end. You have to making sure you can have a good way to test it, improve it, measure it, which is not that easy. For example, there's no code coverage for LLM. There's no really a good way to test different models in the same time. So that's why, including Cresta, there's a lot of startup company really double down in this space. And for deployment is really a nice model to making sure you don't have to turn everyone to be expert on LLM or test eval. And in the same time, you want something quick, 2 or 3 months. You want to roll out a new business. You want to increase more core volume, and you cannot really just hire more people to get things done. Yeah, I'm very happy that is we work on this right knowledge on the right problem in the right time. And again, nothing is easy. And thank you so much, Arad and other FD. We travel a lot. We sometimes have to work in long hours. There's a lot of uncertainty, or even not. We cannot assume everything shared by customer is the something set in stone. Right? There's always room to discuss whether we have a better way to do it. So it's always more like a partnership. That's part of the reason why I guess we set a relatively high bar for hiring more FD in the team. It's not just AI engineer. It's not just consulting. I mean, for example, you already work on as own companies. You know how to fulfill the business need, but also using whatever you can do to make things happen. Again, so much. I would say it's coming to the end of the podcast. What kind of your free suggestion for other people who want to building AI agent, turn to be AI engineer this year?
Yeah. Well, one of the things I would say is like this is such a hot place to be in right now. So if you're interested in being a part of this, you have to be very careful like who you join, because like everyone and their brother is trying to do this. So you have to look at it from like multiple frameworks in terms of like where are they headed, what was the reason they started, and like who's their leadership. And that was like one of the reasons like I wanted to build like a voice call startup, and how did I end up in Cresta was like multiple reasons. One is like I do care about this problem because I don't want to wait hour 15 for a human on the phone, right? Second, I also do believe that businesses will function better with AI agents. And third was like our leadership is very well versed in this. It predates AI agents, right? Like in terms of the industry. And then the fourth one was like my journey in the recruitment for Cresta. Every person I met was like someone very much I'd like to work with. And then that's why my last thing would be like, we're hiring everywhere pretty much at this point. So like you guys might want to go to our career page and then wherever you're from, Asia, we're hiring in Asia, Europe, Australia too, last time I checked. And obviously North America, both US and Canada. You're welcome to check out our careers page and then choose your journey where you want to start. And then I look forward to working with more people.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, in the past, sometimes I share as a LinkedIn message, hey, by the way, this is a 2-3 link you can apply online. That link getting longer and longer. I guess I have maybe 6 or 7 different positions, and almost every single position is unlimited headcount, as long as you can find the right person in. Also, to be fair, that is, we also have a relatively high bar because it is a very competitive space. And for example, we don't really hire people less than 2 year full-time working experience because there's many cases one person have to work on different projects in the same time, not just on the technical side, but also how to guide the customer, lead the conversation, and mitigate the risk, all those things. Yeah, so again, try to see whether you fit in the FDE role or if you work on more on the traditional machine learning or software engineering. It's a very exciting space. So you cannot assume everything is same as 2 years ago. So it's already different. If you are ready to travel, ready to work on those challenging problems, FDE might be one of the best position. And you will learn more about this in the next few episodes. I try to interview many other FDE in our team, other FDE or lead in this domain. So if you want to nominate yourself or someone else, just ping me on LinkedIn or maybe leave a message on the YouTube. And thanks so much, XX Arad. You grow so fast and contribute to so many things already. Thank you for joining this podcast. And again, if you really enjoy this, give us a like, follow us, and maybe when you apply the position, maybe you will talk to Arad again.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you, Joe.
Cheers. Thank you. Yeah, bye now. Yeah, thank you.